Well, hello and welcome to our backyard garden in the South Carolina upstate. This is episode 18 for 2025. It's Friday, June 27th, I believe, 2025, and it's a beautiful day, about 89 degrees as I was starting these videos. Beautiful day, nice and sunny. Probably going to get some thunderstorms later in the afternoon, but for right now we're going to take a nice broad look at our backyard, starting up here in the concrete with our cleome doing very well, growing out of the side of our driveway. It looks like since last week our snapdragons that have also been growing up out of the concrete have finally finished up, and so not a whole lot to see there. Same thing with our little hillside here. This is usually an iris stronghold, and of course irises are done by now. Have a couple of canna here that originally were doing pretty well, but they seem to be having trouble now. I kind of have a feeling there's some parasite that is kind of holding them back a bit, but I really don't know enough about them. We have lots and lots of them, but they have not, none of them have done really all that well here or in the far back. Now, one thing that's worth taking a look at is our little green friend here. These little frogs all over the yard. And I'm finding as the years go by, I'm seeing more and more of the frogs. We've had toads by the thousands, usually little tiny ones, but sometimes pretty big ones that are 3 or 4 inches long. And then these frogs have really just started to appear in the last couple of years, which is really cool. And here we have a daisy. I think it's kind of just about done. We've got a few flowers left on it, a couple buds here and there, but mostly finished up. And then over here we have a series of morning glories that have been just sort of taking over this whole area around our hammock, and not a ton of flowers. Sometimes we'll get some nice little pale blue ones that show up. Today I'm not seeing any, but we're also getting some tomatoes over here. I've seen the yellow flowers. Now I'm seeing a few actual tomatoes growing. The last couple of years, the tomatoes have not been as good as they had been a few years back when we first put them in. And we've got another plant here. I think this is probably as much a weed as anything else, but it is putting out this interesting little flower. I'm not sure exactly what it is. It looks like we're going to get another one up here. And then there's a similar one over here in the shade that's getting a few flowers. I'm concerned that it might be loosestrife. We had those up in Ohio at our house there some years ago, and they looked kind of similar to this, and they had a way of taking over. These don't seem to be spreading a whole lot, so I'm not too concerned at the moment. One thing I am a little more concerned about, though, is this. This, for any of you who are gardeners, you know what this is. It's poison ivy. Just seeing that now. I got to spray this, kill it off, and it extends back in here too, because these things will take over a bed very quickly if you let them. And I am badly allergic to poison ivy, so I do not want anything to do with it. Here is the first of our 4 hydrangeas. Now these are white ones compared to the blue and pink ones that we have in the front yard. They haven't completely gotten their color yet, but they're close. And a lot of these buds are just still coming out, so it'll be probably another couple weeks before these really peak. We've got a couple here that are starting to look like how they'll appear for the next couple of months before they fade out. Here we have some Asiatic lilies that are finished up for the year, and some digitalis down here that are or foxglove, still putting out a few flowers. For the most part, that's a spring plant, so we're not going to see a whole lot going on there. Nice Asiatic lily here. It's beautiful, white and yellow. We've got lots and lots of them. My wife Jenny had put in quite a few of these over the years, and they don't all bloom at the same time, which is nice. So they're kind of staggered over the span of couple of months, and that's nice because you don't lose all of the color at the same time. You get to really enjoy them. Now, one thing I kind of skipped past, we have our cleome bed here. It's not really aimed to be a cleome bed, but it's just sort of worked out that way. This is just a group of stones that we put around the fire pit to kind of keep grass down, and for whatever reason the cleome really like it there. And we've got some here, as I have said a number of times. This whole area back here that's kind of bare right now, this was a whole forest of cleome like this in the past several years. For some reason they're not coming up this year in this area, except for just a couple. We've got a few up in here that are doing well. So we're going to continue to get these nice pink and purple flowers off and on over the year. But they'll grow just about anywhere. They don't require good soil, clearly. They're growing up in the middle of the bricks here in our fire pit. It's the strangest thing. Most of the flowers that we have, I'm frequently saying and commenting that you really need to have good soil if you want anything to grow well. But then you get things like that and some of those snapdragons that have grown just out of the concrete, and you realize not all plants need healthy soil, but it certainly doesn't hurt. Now, coming back over here, we have a butterfly bush. We actually had another one up here. It's mostly finished. It's a little more in the shade. When you look up, we've got these towering evergreens back here, and the hydrangeas and everything else that kind of keep the sun away from this, so it doesn't put out quite as many flowers. This one has done better, and right here you can see some of these bright purple flowers. So I think we'll get probably another month or two out of that. More lilies here, some impatiens down on the ground. Jenny put these in the early spring. They haven't really taken off yet, but they're not doing badly. They're just sort of holding their own for the time being. I think as the summer wears on, they'll probably grow a little bit more. Now, I showed this off. I just noticed it for the first time last week, and it's kind of hard to see back in here, but this is another butterfly bush that is kind of an outgrowth, I guess, seed-wise from ones in the front yard, because we don't have that color back here. We only have the one that has that particular shade of purple in the front, and somehow it has spread back here. And in a similar way, these Monarda have done the same thing. If you watched our front yard video, we have a lot of Monarda. They're kind of past their peak, so they're sort of winding down now, but we've never planted Monarda back here, so they've just kind of come up on their own, either from birds or whatever. Just nature has a way of spreading these things out. Now you can see back in here we've got a not a climbing rose, but a knockout rose. In the spring, about late April, these are absolutely peaking. They're covered with red flowers, and then we have a big white clematis that grows up on top of it. So it kind of looks like one plant with bright white and bright red at the same time. It's really a scene to behold. We got some lemon yellow daylilies back in here. By and large, a lot of the daylilies have peaked. We've still got some that are going to continue to come out for the next few weeks, probably into early July, but the majority of them have already kind of come and gone. Got another beautiful one back here, sort of magenta and yellow color. We got a nice variety. I've gotten questions about this before. Where do we get the variety of all these? And you can get them at different places. If you go to the box stores, they're usually going to have a little bit of variety, but it's probably going to be limited to 4 or 5 different ones. My wife had bought a few bulbs online from any one of a number of places that sell these, Burgundian and a whole bunch of them. They sell a lot of different varieties, and they're a little less expensive than the box stores. You get a lot more variety. The other option that you have, and this is a little more expensive, if you find a specific daylily farm, and there's one here in the Greenville, South Carolina area, that we went to a few years ago. And they've got, at any given time, probably at least 100 different varieties. If you're really into that kind of thing, they're definitely more expensive, but they're they give you the variety you're looking for. We probably had 40 or 50 different types of daylilies up in Ohio before we moved, and that's one of the things I miss the most about being up there. But there aren't a lot of things I miss about being up there. It's really, the growing season is so much longer here. It's been from a gardening standpoint, it's been absolutely superior. Astilbe's finished up now. They gave us 4 different colors of these tall flowers that look like firecrackers or fireworks, but they're done now. And we've got our lamb's ear back in here. I talk about lamb's ear every week because of the interesting texture of the leaves. And it wasn't until they'd been in for a few years that we started to see their flowers, and they're these tall spikes with little tiny purple flowers on them. They actually have put in quite a few of them. They're still blooming. They're not real impressive, but they're kind of interesting more than anything else. Got a camellia here. That's something that blooms typically in February. It's one of the first bloomers that we get in the season. And then we start to get into our not rhododendrons. I automatically say that from being in the north. These are azaleas. And right now they're kind of dormant, but they'll give us some nice purple flowers come October. And then we kind of finish up with our hostas. And I'm seeing our wisteria back here. Just one. I haven't really done anything with it, thinking maybe it would survive, because these are usually pretty hardy. It looks like this one is kind of biting the dust, so we may not have a wisteria back there for long. We have 3 others though. This one, which is actually giving us still a little residual bloom right now. I think that's the only one that I'm seeing. It's interesting with wisteria. It's usually something, the wild wisteria around here, and there are lots of them. They usually bloom for about 3 weeks, and you see them everywhere along railroad tracks and roads and so forth. And you'll see entire hillsides that are just awash with those purple flowers. But the domesticated ones that we have bloom a full month later. And so you start seeing the first ones usually late March to early April, and then ours bloom late April to early May. But even then, here we're about 7 or 8 weeks past from that, and they're still giving us the occasional little bloom, which is really cool. There's more daylilies here, this nice peach color. That's about all that's blooming right now. The majority of this area is done for the year. Got one there, it's kind of a two-tone, yellow and kind of a pink color. And then, I don't know if you can see this, but we've got ourselves a big dragonfly right there. We see so many different types of dragonflies in this area, mainly because of our pond back there, and we're going to go down there in a moment. Yeah, insects are, I'm not a huge fan of insects, but they don't bother me. And the dragonflies I find very interesting. You see all kinds of different colors and shapes of them. Here we've got more stargazer lilies doing really well. A few daisies left down in here, and then some zinnias. Again, these were all grown from seed this year. Our big knockout rose. Most of our knockouts kind of peak in April, and then they don't do a whole lot the rest of the year. This one is just prolific throughout the year, and as soon as this group is done, it'll go dormant for a few weeks, and then we'll get another batch coming out. It's really nice. Up on the trellis here, we've got a nice mix of climbing roses and jasmine and clematis. Another camellia here. And speaking of climbing roses, this one normally gives us these little tiny pink roses. That and the jasmine are what have really filled this area in pretty heavily. Right now there's not a whole lot of blooming, but they will later on, especially once this current hot spell passes. A lot of the plants are kind of struggling right now. Got a climbing rose here. Usually loses its leaves, but it is getting some more buds on it. Usually it'll give us flowers throughout the year. Got a little spiderwort here. Sometimes I'll come out and we've got some of these little flowers, little pink flowers. Other times they've already, if I do the video in the afternoon, the flowers are already gone. And then we've got Veronica here, these tall purple spikes. And then calla lilies in here. They've kind of peaked, I think, but we're still getting some nice color out of them. The white, pink, and red. Some more zinnias here. Nice tea rose back in here with the pink, smaller roses, giving us quite a few, a lot more than usual this year. More of the Veronica. Usually I see tons of bees on the Veronica. Right now I'm not seeing a whole lot of that. And then we've got some mint in here. We didn't plant mint, but it's just kind of coming up as a weed. You can kind of smell it throughout the garden. Another calla lily here. Big butterfly bush here with the variegated leaves. And lots of purple flowers. This one will continue to bloom a little bit later than the others, probably for another month or so. And probably next year we'll have to cut this one back. This is all one plant. It's absolutely huge. Don't want it to completely take everything over. But more zinnias back in here. Nice daylily here. We had balloon flowers in this area. They are kind of done for the time being. Now I don't know, last year we put these in and it seemed like they were blooming a lot later in the year than this. And sometimes when you first put them in, they'll be a little bit off their normal cycle. But one little purple flower there that's out, but not sure what they'll do. So we'll kind of stay tuned and see on those. And then back in here, what else do we have? I have a little, oh, there's another dragonfly just went by. Little tiny, I'm blanking out on the name. We have one in the front yard, and I can't think of it right now. We've got a fern here that's not done well. It's getting way too much sun. And then black-eyed Susans. This is our big wisteria right in through this area. It's probably about 15 or 20 feet long. I have no urgent desire to cut it back. At some point I'm going to have to, because I don't want it to completely take over the garden, but I don't mind the fact that it's growing on the top of the fence. I don't really feel a need to see a whole lot of fence. So it's like clematis and wisteria and all these other things. If they cover up the fence for the most part, I'm fine with that. Now this is something that has just started to bloom this week. This is a real tropical looking plant. Somebody gave this to us. We don't know the name of it, but it does give us these beautiful flowers a couple times a year. And not a lot of them, but they look like something you'd see down in the Caribbean. Got a couple more buds there, so they're not quite done yet. And then we got some gladiolus here. We've had a number of different colors of gladiolus, some purple, these pink ones. We had some orange and yellow earlier. So this area is typically done well for a year or two, and then they kind of lose their mojo. Big weeping cherry tree here, blooms just in the spring. Now this area right in here, we had a lot of gladiolus that when we first moved in, we put them back here somewhere around maybe 2019, and they've just kind of given up the ghost. So usually our experience has been when you put in glads, even though they're bulbs and you think, okay, they're going to come back every year, you get maybe 2 years out of them, and that's about it. And you have to keep kind of replacing them if you want to get flowers every year. Back here, we've still got some clematis growing along the fence, and then a lot of weeds. I can smell wisteria flowers, so I know we've got at least one bloom someplace in all of this, but I'm not seeing it, so I'm not sure where it is exactly. But you know, they will grow everywhere. They'll grow along the fence. They're growing along the ground. They've got vines headed over onto that fence there. So it's kind of, as I say, it'll spread out quite a bit. If you like that kind of thing, if you want it to take over a large area, it will do so very readily. Also taking over a large area are these canna. Not a big fan of them, but they do give you some really cool flowers, not in large numbers, but I walked back there last week. There are so many weeds now, I can't even get over there, but I will show a close-up of one of the flowers. We have two different types of flowers, ones that come from the green plants, and then we've got the more reddish ones that give us red flowers. The reddish ones have really been a disappointment. We usually only get a handful of flowers for the whole year for all the vegetation that goes up. And I think it's just a combination of poor soil and probably probably a parasite as well. Now here, in this area, we are seeing some of the yellow flowers. They typically do a little bit better. Again, very tropical looking, kind of nice to have. And then our wild daylilies have finally come out. I was concerned about these. The plants themselves did not look too healthy. The leaves look like they've either got some sort of nutritional deficiency or something. Something's just not quite the way it should be. And again, I mean, right now, you know, typically an area like this should be just solid green with leaves, and it's not. The plants themselves just don't look healthy, but they are putting out flowers, so they're at least doing that. Now, unfortunately, just since the spring when I did a kind of a whopping cleanup, we're getting all kinds of maple trees growing up in here. I've got to get in there and chop those out at some point. Probably won't happen soon, but it's going to have to happen, or they're going to take over root-wise in short order. More of the daylilies down here doing really, really well. And I should say, these aren't just the average daylilies that you see along the road. These are a compound version where you've got kind of a flower within a flower. And I don't remember the source. I don't remember where we got these originally, but they've done reasonably well. And again, they're giving us a lot of flowers every year. Now, as I look back in here, I'm seeing some other weeds that I need to get rid of. Creeping, Virginia creeper, something. And Virginia creeper sometimes will look like poison ivy, and the leaves look very similar, but they're in groups of 5, not 3. As far as I'm concerned, I don't want to touch either one of them. I don't want to take any chances. So getting them out of a bed like this is difficult. I want to try to spray them, but again, just finding the time is difficult. It's all I can do to get down here to do these videos every week. But over here, I was hoping this would happen. This is going to be one of the high points of the year for me. If you look, we finally got a bloom on our water lily. A couple of buds had come up and they never opened up, and then they just went right back down in the water. This one kind of came up out of nowhere and is blooming. I'm hoping, these have been in here for 2 years. A friend gave it to me, and they have slowly spread. So I'm hoping in years to come that we'll have more and more of these. I would love to see this whole cove, as we call it, just covered with water lilies, and maybe it would help to keep some of the algae and grasses under control as well. So that, I'm glad that came out on the video today. That's really fun. The pond is just an old farm pond that belongs to Greer Memorial Hospital, which is over on the other side of the trees there, and it's not an especially big pond, but it gets to about maybe 8 feet deep in the middle. Lots and lots of just a whole ecosystem, and you can see some of the not butterflies, but dragonflies lots and lots of those. But we have ducks down at the far end. We have a whole collection of Canadian geese, ducks, all kinds of songbirds, hawks, herons, owls, and then various animals that hang out by the water. We do have beavers, and just a little of everything, frogs, toads. It's just a real joy to be down here and see all of this. It's the kind of thing that if you don't live near a pond or or out in the country or near a field, you read about these things in the when you're a kid, and you don't, you just tend not to see them. You think, well, that's just not something I'm ever going to see, and now it's right there in our backyard. A lot of these species of birds and insects and animals and so forth, they're right there in front of us. It's so nice. Now, coming up to the house, we'll finish things up here. Everything kind of peaked a couple of weeks ago, so there isn't a lot going on right now, but we do have a nice gladiolus kind of here in the shade, a nice pink color. We've got some beautiful phlox right in here, just coming out, both white and purple. And we've got some more veronica back in there. A number of roses, they're all kind of dormant right now. Daylilies through here, some doing well, some not as much. We've got a few marigolds that have kind of spread from, I think, seeds that were up on the deck where we were growing most of that stuff. And then some more daylilies of various colors. We've got calla lilies here, still blooming, the dark purple, and some that are white, some that are yellow. What else? More daylilies. In the background, a couple of lilacs that are not overwhelming, but they at least give us some flowers in the springtime. Then behind all of that, we've got purple flowers from a hosta. We've got some huge hostas back in there that were there when we moved in. I've got a nice purple and yellow daylily, some more peach ones, and I talked about the little tiny pink climbing rose. I've got one of those right now. A few buds on, or not buds, but blooms on this climbing rose here. This one has a tendency to take over. Next year I'm going to have to really cut it back because it's had a tendency to just really dominate everything else in this area, and that's not fair because we've got a lot of things that are sort of lost here, like these calla lilies and the regular lilies, just all kinds of things that would do better if that rose was cut back. And we're back to the top. I think we've gone full circle. So thank you for coming with me on the tour. Again, it's a beautiful day. We've really had fun this year. This has been the best year we've ever had for our garden. It's been kind of an odd year weather-wise. It was a very cold winter by the standards down here. Some things did not do well over the winter. Some things did. We've seen some different species come back this year that we didn't have before. Same thing with weeds. We're having weeds that we didn't have in the past, and weeds that we did have last year that are not coming up this year. It's very interesting. And then once spring hit, really mid-April, we really things just exploded back here. And even though we've moved into summer, there's still a lot of color here. And so we're going to be doing these every week through the end of the growing season. Probably somewhere around November we'll finish up. And hope it's sunny wherever you are. And until next time, happy gardening.